Could this new one be one of Talib Kweli's best in recent memory? What's good, y'all? It's your boy Mixtape Mob. If you are rocking with this content, go ahead and smash that like button up for your boy. Also subscribe if you haven't. But today, I'm gonna hit y'all with my thoughts on this new project from Talib Kweli and Rawls entitled "The Confidence of Knowing." The Brooklyn wordsmith and one of the pioneers of modern day conscious hip hop is back with his second drop of 2024. Now, Talib Kweli is a polarizing figure, but he has always been an underrated lyricist since the late 90s, ever since the days of Black Star and Reflection Eternal. He's always managed to rap at a high level and he never let up, but I do feel there was a resurgence from Talib that we saw around 2021 when he dropped that Gotham collab album with Diamond D, which was pretty dope. Of course, there was the Black Star reunion album in 2022, and he followed that up with the release of Liberation 2, produced by Madlib. But now Talib Kweli is back with the veteran Columbus, Ohio producer Rawls, who is also a college professor at the moment. Rawls isn't talked about frequently in top producer discussions, but he does have a history of producing for both Mos Def and Talib, as well as Master Ace, Slum Village, The Artifacts, Sadat X, J Live, etc. So I feel that Rawls has made a lot of behind the scenes moves and contributed to the development of jazz hop and the neo soul movement. But getting right into this project, The Confidence of Knowing, it contains 13 songs lasting approximately 46 minutes. But with that being said, let me go ahead and just hit y'all with that track by track breakdown. The opener, Breathe as Memory, is set to a cinematic multi-layered beat with an African sample as well as African-like drums. And here Talib is making the distinction between African art and European art. Some standout lines were foundational to the native tongues. This is a song of defiance. That's a quote from Native Son. I get busy on native drums. She a fine young cannibal. America so hungry that she ate it young. So as a whole, this was a strong opener that immediately taps into the essence of a Talib Kweli song. Track 2, The Confidence of Knowing, features Blue and Jametta Rose, and it is backed by some plush horn strings and groovy claps. It's a very sleek instrumental, and Blue and Talib talk about the importance of being brave enough to be yourself. So at the end of the day, it was a solid self-confidence anthem with that smooth grown man appeal. Next is Native Sons, and it's a real highlight, and it pays homage to the legendary Native Tongues collective. I really dug the eerie boom bap instrumental that was high paced and reminded me somewhat of a production that you might get from the likes of, let's say, Black Milk and Illmind, and I could definitely envision Skyzoo getting busy over this beat. Yeah, this was a hard as nails track that just personified a mid 90s style New York hip hop. Following this is We Outside, which features a verse from Rawls, and here the two do go into their political bag somewhat. It's not an outside like we're outside partying type of track. There's more of an activism tone to it. Now, instrumentally, it has a mellow drumless loop with a horn presence. Some noteworthy lines from Talib were how they got you ashamed to be a social justice warrior. Not everyone can accept the love that you pour in them. Violent people love violently, said Toni Morrison. But yeah, altogether, solid track. Not a standout for me, but I dug the content. Then there is another highlight to the Ghetto, which has some crisp head nodding production. You have that infectious To the Ghetto sample. Instrumentally, Rawls was in his bag for this. And on this track, Talib breaks down the concept and the origins of the ghetto dating back to the Jewish people in Eastern Europe. But overall, a thought-provoking, socially conscious track with immaculate production. And there is the raw posse cut SWAT, which features the hungry West Coast group Contra, set to a cypher-like mid-90s style beat with bells and flutes. You know the vibes. And Contra is attacking this track with their explosive energy. It's a real boom bap banger where everyone kills it in the beat. It's just the epitome of something they catch wreck to. Track 7, Turnstile, features the Brooklyn legends Buckshot and Skyzoo, and it's just as good and just as raw as the preceding one. I really enjoyed the sequencing of these two tracks back to back because production-wise, there were some similarities. And this record is a throwback to the old New York method of hopping the turnstile. And the instrumental does channel that early to mid-90s Brooklyn style energy, really just embodying the heart of Brooklyn, home of the original gun clappers. Skyzoo and Talib had the dopest verses, but it was great to hear Buckshot as well, and this will likely be a favorite for traditional heads. Things do smooth out a bit with the following song, Shalimar, featuring Raz Kaz. Now, obviously, this is a dedication to the soul and funk band Shalimar. And what we had was a mix of some slick talk and conscious bars from the two over a velvety, groovy beat. Some clever lines from Raz Kaz were, if life's a bitch, then ain't no bitch as bad as mine. Immediately after is Pay Homage, featuring IDK, Planet Asia, and Feel the Agony. So it's a blend of old school and new school MCs getting busy over some psychedelic soul production that is on the mellower side. Now, I haven't heard Feel the Agony rap in some time, but his unorthodox, unique style still sounds good. After this is Love for Life, featuring Georgia and Muldrow. And you already know, they tap into those jazzy neo-soul vibes. It is a smooth, grown man record with a lot of relationship talk, but a chill track that you could reflect and vibe out to. Then there is the endearing dad and daughter duet, Steve Austin, where we get a verse from his daughter, Deani, who shows us that she gets her rapping ability from her dad over this obscure drumless jazz loop that was pretty cool. Now, the second to last song is Singing Into the Sky, and it is an eclectic, experimental track featuring Nico Is, and there are slight neo-soul vibes. There's also a dramatic sung hook from Celine. Things then wrap up with the triumphant closer, It's Working, featuring Middle Child, who definitely showed out on this hook. We are getting some social and political commentary from Talib over bright, funky sounds. Some noteworthy bars from Talib where they murder people over greed while they swear they heed the words of Jesus. I give the people these verses they could believe in. I even disperse the demons because my lyrics could convert the heathens. Altogether, it is a strong closer with those uplifting vibes. So overall, I'm going to give this project a rating of 4 mics. I do feel it was his most enjoyable and probably his best record in recent memory. I would put this a notch above Gotham, although I did find that Diamond D produced album to be solid. And production-wise, I did enjoy this new one a bit more than Liberation 2, despite Madlib manning the board. So Rawls and Talib demonstrated their chemistry that they've had ever since the making of Brown Skin Lady back in the day. Now, Talib has put out a consistent batch of projects in recent years, no doubt, but I did find this to be more of a return to form album from him, one where the quality is likely just as good as any of his early to mid 2000s material. That being said, there were a couple slower tracks that didn't move me quite as much, but innately this felt like a traditional Talib Kweli project at the end of the day. And it's likely to be a slept on release also, but it does display just how consistent and underrated he is. And it also does remind us how talented Rawls is as a producer, in case you forgot, since his name isn't really brought up in, you know, contemporary producer conversation. Favorite tracks include Breathe, Eyes, Memory, Native Sons, To the Ghetto, SWAT, Turnstile, Shalimar, Pay Homage, and It's Working. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. It's your boy Mixtape Muff. I'm signing out, but as always, it's peace and blessings. Talib Kweli, J. Rawls, the confidence of knowing. One.